we have spent a tremendous amount of energy creating a repeatable process, like a signature process that we follow from the first day we engage with them until we clean their home and they move in. Yeah, we even just did it yesterday. We walked through a home that we had finished like 10 months ago and just said, this little thing needed to be adjusted or why is the air not as strong in this one area of the house? And we're going to address those things because we care about it being a legacy, it being something that serves them long term, and that's not just, we like to say we don't build houses, we build homes. So there's a huge difference. Like if you're just building a building, then it's just like, okay, you just crank them out. You can see the roof farms everywhere where people just like build houses. But a home is such a different thing. It's a place where a family is growing or a relationship's being built or whatever. Like your core memories are made, like everything. So if that's not built with intention and that's where you're spending your time and the growth, then there's just a different feel to it.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Builder's Bible. I'm joined by Jasmine and Jed Chambers. They co-own a design build company, and we're talking about it just before you guys hopped on. A fascinating conversation about running a business as a married couple. And we have talked about all things residential, commercial. I'm excited to dive in with them today. My first question is always the same. Tell us the story, guys. How did you get to where we are today? Tell us a little about your company.
Okay. Do you want to go for it?
So where we got to today is probably a story for another day, but
it's a long story.
It's a long story, but just in a nutshell, when I was 19, I had the opportunity to work with these three brothers that were craftsmen, true craftsmen, which is a rarity and something that we're passionate about. Well, I was introduced at that level, and so it's a 20,000 plus square foot home in Connecticut, and I had the opportunity to work with them, and their dad was the architect. So it introduced me to a level of construction where every detail mattered and everything needed to be top quality. And so that really just set the bar for me. And it actually, it grabbed something deeper than just like something I could make a paycheck with. It grabbed something in my soul that I could be proud of and I could take ownership with, and really inspired me as a young person. And so that's and I've been doing it ever since. So that was 24 years ago now. And so, yeah, been through a lot of, been through a lot of things since then, and different types of construction, both commercial and learning, the production side of it and everything like that. And then a few years ago,
Jed just touched on it, but he has experience in just about every type of construction you can imagine, like industrial, commercial, historic, restoration, and residential, ground up, renovations, additions. Like he's had experience in his career with all of that. And then 10 years ago, he went to 10 or 11 years ago, he went to work for Solomon Builders, which is a well-known commercial company here in Nashville. And he worked with them for 5 years and really learned kind of the inside scoop on how to run commercial, which is different than residential a lot of times because they have more defined systems and processes usually. Residential, most contractors are pretty much just flying by the seat of their pants. And that usually translates to a not so great experience for the client. And so we as a family have been through multiple renovations of our own with our family, and we know like the pain of it from a
inside story,
from the perspective of the homeowner. And it's just, to us, is like so clear that there's an opportunity there, because it's a challenge that a lot of people aren't meeting, is that client experience. So seeing that, oh wow, we could take kind of the best of all the different types of construction that are done out there and create a process around it that actually gives the client an amazing experience. And it doesn't have to be a headache anymore. It can actually be a joyful thing where you're building your dream home, you're building your legacy. It's something exciting. And so that was really that was the inspiration that went into us starting Jasper. At that time, 5.5 years ago, I was finishing up school. So I had gone back to school and gotten a business degree when my kids were old enough to be in school themselves. So before that, I had been a stay-at-home mom for about 16 years. Yeah. And done other work, a lot of work. I worked mostly as a volunteer for nonprofit Christian organizations. It was more than a full-time job, I'll just say that. So I got a lot of experience in working with teams, working with people, running events, doing things like that. So I had experience with like how to manage a budget, how to manage people, how to lead teams. And so going back to school to really learn about the business and how that runs, it all just gave me a good foundation for being able to start this business alongside his skills with the construction. And that really makes us like a power pack team, because we know our lanes, we know what we're good at, and we trust each other.
I mean, that's interesting to me that you brought experience from being a stay-at-home mom over to running a $10+ million company. And then also the client experience. I think that's really interesting because I know a lot of people that have built custom homes, and you're right. It can be a racket. It can be really like time consuming. I think everybody, knows the feeling of saying, hey, it's going to be X amount, and it actually is way more, right? We're finishing our basement right now. And I was like, I really want to make sure it's not going to be more than what we talked about, and there's always opportunities to change it. So I think the client experience, that's really interesting. So what is unique about your client experience? Like, how did you build your company around that?
So I think Jasmine touched on it. It has to be intentional. So one of the things we've found, and with your question about like pain points, and the reality of it is like, we're all human, right? So if you don't have a clear process, a repeatable process that you follow, and that then you can lead the client through, then it becomes very, because it's their home. It becomes emotional. It becomes confusing. It becomes who's leading this, who's leading this charge, and then they can be caught off guard by decisions they didn't know they needed to make and everything. So we have spent a tremendous amount of energy creating a repeatable process, like a signature process that we follow from the first day we engage with them until we clean their home and they move in. And even after post that.
Because, every builder has a whole warranty period, which is typically a year for the industry. And so we don't just like to leave our clients hanging. We actually will check in with them at different touch points throughout the year to make sure that they know we're still here. We're not gone.
We even just did it yesterday. We walked through a home that we had finished like 10 months ago and said, this little thing needed to be adjusted, or why is the air not as strong in this one area of the house? And we're going to address those things because we care about like that, it being a legacy, it being something that serves them long term, and that's not just, we like to say we don't build houses, we build homes. So there's a huge difference. Like if you're just building a building, then it's just like, okay, you just crank them out. You can see the roof farms everywhere where people just like build houses, but a home is such a different thing. It's a place where a family is growing, or a relationship's being built, or whatever. Like your core memories are made, like everything. So if that's not built with intention, and that's where you're spending your time and the growth, then there's just a different feel to it. And you mentioned something else about time, like the time value of that's something that if you have a process like that, then you then respect your client's time, because you're giving them clear expectations at specific times, and then you can actually deliver around that. But if there's no clear expectations and clear set process, then it's just kind of helter skelter and lot of things get missed.
So yeah, to that point, the people who work with us and who are, who we love to work with are people who do value their time, and they know that they work with us because they know that we value their time as well. And then we create the transparency around what's happening at every moment. So we use technology for that. There's, we have a platform that we use that creates really transparent, like everyday, progress reports. They know what subs are on site every day. They know where they're at in their budget. They know what they've paid, what they still have left to pay. They know their selections. And we actually keep our schedule transparent, which to a lot of contractors, that sounds like the most stupid, crazy idea ever. And it's part of what holds us accountable in our team. So I would say, like, as far as like a pain point for us, it's really just a challenge, but it's also like wherever I see a challenge, I also see a big opportunity. So it's finding the people and the team that are willing to work according to that standard of excellence and do what they actually say. So if I tell my team one of our core values is integrity, and I know that can sound really cliche because everybody seems to have that core value, but for us, what it means is that we stand behind what we say. So if we have, a schedule on our app that the clients see, that better be right and that better be accurate. And that, whoever's showing up on site that day is who we said is showing up on site, So it's like, we do what we say what we do, we stand behind our word, and that's how our team is trained. But, in this industry, it's difficult to find those people that.
Yeah. Well, that's tough because, there's not a single commercial or residential guy I haven't talked to who hasn't had trouble with either contractors or something not coming on time, like delivery of materials, this particular vanity, for whatever reason, the manufacturer, it's all jacked up. So sticking to your schedule is probably one of the hardest things to do in construction, I would imagine.
Yeah, it is.
It is. That goes back to another core value of ours, which is communication. So so every time, again, to Jasmine's point, whenever there's a challenge, and I feel like, especially since the famous COVID, especially since that's
such a big excuse.
Now it's become like a standard excuse. Oh, well, it's the supply chain, or it's this issue, or it's that issue. And so you can look at that and you can say, okay, that's a fair excuse or whatever. But what are we going to do to meet that? What are we going to do instead of it being an excuse? What are we going to do to meet that challenge? So we have a whole pre-construction time frame that we hold ourselves accountable to, that from the minute they sign the contract, we're hitting certain key points. Like, we're getting our permit in process. We're getting our windows detailed and ordered. We're getting our cabinets detailed and ordered. All the lead time, all the things that can derail your project once it goes into construction. And this stuff's happening months before we ever even set foot in their house. Because that's really, if you give yourself the time then if something doesn't show up correctly or whatever, you have time to recover.
So I'm curious about that, because I would imagine, and I pledge that I am naive about construction. I'm a financial advisor by trade, but I would imagine that you'd have to probably do your billing differently if you're getting a lot of the materials in advance. Yeah. Is that something you guys are doing differently as well?
That's a good point. So cash flow management is probably one of the most important things in our industry. And I actually have a little bit of a financial background too. I studied accounting in school. So we get a 20% deposit on construction signing, on the contract signing. We also have
what's typical in the industry? I don't even know.
It depends.
That's fairly, it's going to be different with commercial, but
and sometimes if they're working through a certain financial work, some banks won't do that. Like if they're taking a loan out, some banks will only offer 10% upfront, and we'll work with people. Like, we might do draws over that planning period if we have to. But our typical process, our standard process, is the 20% down on signing. And that gives us, what we need for that window of period when we're doing all the planning.
Gotcha.
And then our regular billing, will kick in once we start work, and it's usually like a either biweekly or monthly cadence depending on the type of project it is.
Gotcha.
But to that point, we also have before the construction contract, we have a planning phase, which we deliver a project plan. And so because we're a design build firm, that phase of the project can last anywhere from a month to 6 months to sometimes 9 months.
Well, just depending on how early in the developmental process.
It's where we bring our architects in, our designers, like everybody who's involved in creating the plan for the project. Mm-hmm. And that portion is its own agreement, its own contract. So that's paid for already before we move forward with the actual construction contract.
Yeah, and the goal around that is to give that transparency of like, okay, here's an initial budget based on what you want, and then let's work together to accomplish that. So the biggest thing, and we tell people like their allowance. So we create allowances for all their selections, all the finishes, all the stuff. And I tell them, hey, that's your sandbox. We're not going to dictate to you what kind of tile that you install. We're going to dictate to you how it gets installed.
That's the biggest variation usually that comes in price.
Yeah. So those are the biggest, like around cabinetry, around all that stuff. And so, but before we ever go to the main contract, we want to make sure we're aligned with their vision and their budget and their like, and we don't even like to call it a budget. We like to call it their investment because it's an investment. So what are their wishes around that? Then can we align that with their investment, what their investment is, their investment goals, and then we work towards that.
What are the things that they must have, and what are the things they're willing to make concessions on? So just getting to know them, how they feel.
Yeah. What do you feel? Real quick, what's the typical price point of the homes that you're working on, and what was your overall sales last year?
Our overall sales last year was 8.4. mil, and our typical price point this year is between I would say just average about 600,000. But if we're building a custom home, that will go way up. So that our custom homes, the sweet spot is between like 3 and 5 million.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
But
what are the biggest? Go ahead.
Well, we do a lot of like full home renovations and additions. Like we put a 2,000 square foot addition on a home. So like we do a lot of those kind of things because it really does take that on-site daily management to really push the project along. High touch because sometimes they're even still living in part of the home or whatever. So it just, that's how we're set up, is to really cater to and manage that well and have it move along and get executed in a timely way. So.
What are some of the big sticking points you guys are having in your business right now? Like what problems are you trying to solve or overcome?
Biggest sticking points.
I think just really aligning our team with our expectations. And so this year we've hired some more leadership level folks, and they've really been able to help us around, like, because as entrepreneurs and leaders ourselves, sometimes we don't understand what it takes to really set up the dominoes, so to speak, for people on our team to experience success. And we want our team, we want to serve our team in a way that they can experience success in their own life. And so that's been our biggest challenge recently, but also been part of our wins of starting to see that leadership come together.
Well, it's not just our team internally either. Yeah. It's also our partners, like the subcontractors that we work with, knowing what makes them tick and helping them even develop their processes and systems to support what we do, and the level of excellence that we want to serve to our clients. So I'm going to take this a little bit different direction. Our core values, we have an acronym called EPIC. And our core values are excellence, people, integrity, communication. And so we talk every day, well, what does excellence mean? Like, what does it mean to show up with excellence? So, like, just for example, last night, on our way home from work, we get a text from one of our clients with a picture of some trash that he was picking up on his job site. And I'm like, hell no. Like, quit. That's our responsibility. There's never to be trash left on your job site at the end of the day. That's not the service that that's not our promise to you. That's our responsibility. Stop doing that. We're going to have someone out there. We had someone out there within the hour to clean up, even though it was after work hours, because that was our mistake. My team should have never left a job that way. Yeah. But since it did happen, what are we doing to still show up with excellence? And so that's just like the standard we hold ourselves to. And obviously I'm going to figure out what happened that originally it was left that way. But, and then not allowing the excuses, like if someone says, well, the sub, it was their responsibility. We asked them to do it and they didn't do it. Okay, but we're the ones in charge. We're managing the project. So it's up to us to hold the standard. I don't know how I got off on that, but that's like excellence means everything to us. And so the white glove service, and it comes down to our personal lives too. Like, how are you showing up as a person today? What are you doing? Are you willing to be just a little 1% better each day? What did you learn from yesterday that you can bring into now and grow?
Yeah. Let's talk about AI, guys. How are you using it, and where do you feel like you could be using it, but you're not?
That's a really great question. We are using it quite a bit. We just about 6 months ago integrated a software for cost tracking that's AI based. So like everybody who has a company card can upload their receipt as soon as they make a transaction. And
what's that called? Because that comes up a lot with.
I'm not quite loving it yet, but it might just be a lack of training. So we're still working through.
Yeah, I think it's even improved. As AI is, it's all constantly improving. So it's about working with it and figuring out and with the software provider or whatever.
And being willing to work through the kinks, because I've talked to other contractors who are like, oh my gosh, we tried that was such a mess, we're never doing that again. And I'm like, you know what, it's an opportunity, like let's work through the challenges.
So the software we use is adaptive, and it links with
QuickBooks, because we use QuickBooks Online for our accounting. So it can automatically, like the guys will put in the job and the cost code, and then it will automatically like go on that client's bill and
and it scans the receipts and intuitively starts to put things under the different cost codes, and then you just have to verify it. So it takes a lot of like the manual input out of it, and it's constantly learning. So as our team is, if one of our team is working on a project and they're buying things for that project, it'll automatically bring that to the top of the list because it's recognizing that's what they're doing.
That user is on that project.
Yeah.
Things like that. It also, it handles all the from like invoices from subs, things like that. So then the PMs have it all in one place. So then when they go to create the client draw, it's all right there. It's all there.
They can see percentage of that budget used because it's all filed under the different cost codes. So it's helpful. It's been challenging because sometimes the challenge has been that it doesn't talk to BuilderTrend, which is our other management software for like everything that's client
project
facing.
management.
Everything client facing goes through there, and with change orders and everything else. And if they don't talk to each other well, and so then it created this circle, and it kind of got messy for a minute.
So there's definitely some kinks we're still working through.
Yeah.
But I think overall it's definitely starting to save us time. The goal is that it saves us a lot of time eventually, and just makes everything more streamlined. So we use that software. We also use Chat GPT a lot, just for writing emails, for
organizing or capturing site visits and organizing all the touch point, all the things that we need to keep. If a client mentions it, we want to capture it. So
we record all our calls, and we can instantly make a summary and then just go through it, make sure it's accurate, and send out a recap email. Like things like that is just, it makes life a lot simpler.
Yeah, and it really is a time saver. We also are working to create like a internal chat kind of system
with GPTs that are set up for different projects
so that it's as we're building the project from design all the way through, it's building a wealth of information that our team has access to, that they can refer to throughout the project. So We just
It will also pull from
It'll pull from Builder Trend. It'll pull from the different projects, the different databases that we're using for the project. So we're really excited about that. Our operations managers and working on structuring that and then we'll train our team to that. So.
Where do you feel like you could be using it that you're not? Like what areas of your business, like, I think AI could automate that, whether it be, estimation, invoicing. What are some other areas that you feel like it hasn't touched yet?
I think it hasn't touched estimating, but could be a resource in that space. I think it could also, like, as far as creating scopes, we've been starting to play with it around and just uploading plans and having it create scopes for the different subs. That's exciting because it actually did pretty good. We tried it on a couple of different projects and it lined everything out. And again, you have to tweak. You can't just assume that it's going to capture what it needs to, but it's pretty impressive what it can capture, just even knowing our standards. It's all about, as you know, I'm sure in your world of it's all about the user. The user has to understand how to give it good prompts. It has to understand the quality of the stuff that Jasmine and I put out, because we've had some training in it, and the quality of what one of our field team members will put out from it is markedly different, because they just don't know how to give it the prompts. And also we've been working with it for more than a year, so it knows our language. It knows a lot about.
I mean, I honestly see it as my personal assistant. I train it how I want it to do things.
Yeah.
When I ask for something, it will spit out what I want because I've trained it according to what I expect. Which is really cool. And, learning how to create different projects with different directives and GPTs that do certain types of work. And so, it's been really fun to play with. It's only been a year and a half since we've started really using it. Implementing it. So I'm excited to see where it can go.
Yeah.
What's one thing we haven't talked about today that you guys want to talk about? What fires you up? Could be business, could be faith, anything related to that. Marriage stuff. You tell me.
So, we both, Jasper, our company, and is really, it's the outward expression of our, what we've been building as a team, as a couple for the last, we're going this week is 22 years.
Hey, congrats.
So that's really special to us, of that relationship piece of it, and how important it is to not just be letting life happen to you, but building a life. So it correlates with everything building. That all of that has to do with intention. And as far as me personally, what I'm really excited about is that next June we'll be beta launching academy for the building arts. So Building Arts Academy, that's going to actually introduce young people or whoever who wants to take the course to the actual spirit of the build. So the whys behind it, what makes a quality build, but then why is it important, and how does it affect the longevity of the home? How does it, all those things? Because if you understand the why, then you actually you're bought in. You do it because you know why it matters. But if you don't, and you're just doing it because some guy told you that that's how it's supposed to be done, and then you'll just take it or leave it, whether based on your emotions or your feelings.
Yeah, and the course will be a high level overview of construction. So there's nothing like this at all. In education, there's trade schools, or there's certifications you can get for plumbing or electrical or things like that, or there's project management degrees or construction management degrees, but there's nothing that's doing a holistic approach to building, showing how all the pieces fit together and why it's important. That's really our
what
goal.
Design elements are even my own team, I'm teaching them about, I'm kind of practicing on my team, and a lot of them didn't even, they're building homes, they didn't even know how to read a survey, and I didn't realize that until I started teaching them. So it's amazing how people that have been in the industry for 20 years don't know what a setback is or whatever, they just don't know certain aspects of things that are important to know So yeah, we're really excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So there's another thing. He's working on. So these are kind of our passion projects that our company Jasper is like the engine for. It's our baby, but we're also like very passionate about building a future, making people's dreams matter, helping people understand that they have the power to choose the life they want to build, the life they want to live. That's our mission behind everything that we do. So I'm actually writing a book right now, and it's called Dreams That Matter. And I'm really excited. Launch goal is sometime 2026. I'm not sure when yet, but really excited to be working on that.
Yeah.
That's cool. If people want to learn more about who you guys are and what you do, where can they go?
Well, at Jasper, we have jasperbuilds.com is just our company website. He's still working on his website for the building arts, so that's not launched yet. I have jasminechambers.org, where I'm putting out a lot of content just around the things I write about and just my heart behind it. So my audience is really mostly women, but really anyone who's in that space of like being on the precipice of knowing there's more, but not having taken that step yet. Like they need the nudge. So that's who I'm speaking to is people who haven't yet tapped into their own power.
Yeah. That's awesome, guys. Well, don't hop off quite yet. Thank you for coming on the podcast. And yeah, I love the vision. I love the client experience. I learned a lot today. So thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us, Andrew. It was wonderful.
Yeah, no, I had a blast, and it's definitely a unique perspective. You know, everybody's doing things kind of differently. So, you know, I feel like I'm getting a master's degree in building just by having this podcast. So,
I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for hopping on with us. And yeah, don't go anywhere. I love to chop it up. And you guys can stick around. We have a few more great episodes coming up. We have, some pretty big commercial guys, some residential builders, and we have some other supporting industries like roofing, concrete. So stay tuned and watch out for the next episode to drop. Thanks.